Hello, hello everyone. This is Ali Tarnishi here at Ali Dose of Inspiration, and today we have a sister and a beautiful lady with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of wisdom, Khadija Toto. She has the same name as my sister, and she have a name of a legendary lady in Islam, in the Muslim community. And without further ado, introduce yourself, Sister Khadija, and tell us a little bit more about yourself. And take it from there.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum
Um,
assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala.
yes. A little bit about me. Um, I traveled, been around the world, saw different things, and saw the world as beautiful. And I recognize that what we see on the news is not accurate compared to the reality. So, one thing in coming back home, I was in China for 5 years. And one thing from coming home from there is that, you know, the world will depict and tell its own story, but it's really about us and what we decide the reality is and what we know it to be. So
Mhm.
I'm just here because I just want to show the world to the world, like the real world. Like it's so much fun, and the people globally are just beautiful, like in all communities,
Mhm.
just beautiful.
I love that. It's the world and the globe is beautiful when we take the time and look into that, because we tend to be not real. We tend to be not true to ourselves. I love being authentic. I love being honest. I love being true to ourselves. And the society make us forget that. Make us like you need to be like that actor. You need to be like that model. You need to be that like. But we forget about ourselves. We just know more about what those artists went through in their life more than we know about ourselves. And that's
You are so, like, I just want to expand what you're saying. Like, I think so often people want to be like someone else,
Mhm.
right? I think it was Thich Nhat, in his Art to Communication. He talks about the path,
Mhm.
right? Finding your path. And I've worked so hard. I just want to be myself. I'm running towards myself in the pleasing of my God. Like
Mhm.
when I keep God in the forefront of my mind and in the deepest part of my heart,
Mhm.
everything, the universe does its job. Nothing is in the way. I feel like our dreams are and our who we are is only as big as our God. Or it maybe some people don't, believe in that, but it's only as big as your faith,
Mhm.
and your belief in that. So to me, I'm like, yo, my God is infinite, so I can do whatever, like as long as I'm like doing good, right?
Mhm.
Like we want to always make sure we're serving other people while we're on our path. And the path, I don't know who I'm going to be tomorrow or
Mhm.
the next day or the next day, but all I know is I'm excited to meet her, and I'm excited to meet you too.
Same thing here, sister. I'm excited to be. It's my pleasure, actually, and my honor to have you here on this podcast. And you just said something that's beautiful. That's it is faith, and it is like about today. We don't have to worry about like yesterday or tomorrow, as long as we focus on today. That is what's guaranteed. That's why we call it the present. It's a gift. So unwrap that gift, open it, enjoy it. Don't look in the past. Don't worry about the future. It's nice to visit those places, but don't stay there. Live in the moment.
Absolutely. It's a great place to make a vision if it's serving you, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if it's not serving you, right? It's good to have a salad, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're hungry and you need the salad. But is it good to have like a huge, like a big old bowl and amount of it? Probably not. You don't need all that. So it's just about like right now in this moment. Like I think for so many people, and at least for me, like
Mm-hmm.
I went through, I don't want you to ever think, I think when people meet me, they think, oh, she's so bubbly and she's so excited. She has such a great vibe. And it's like, while sure, you may see that in me because it's in yourself. I went through a lot of like mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went through depression, I went through anxiety, I went through thinking about suicide even, like, and I, like I said, I think that's why I'm so enthusiastic about life, because I fought to be here. I had to fight those voices that were telling me I wasn't enough and I wasn't capable and I wasn't the light. Like
Mm-hmm.
after I fought those off, I was like, you can't stop me with a stop sign or a red light. I'm going through.
I love that. It is, I am kind, I'm light, I'm capable, and I'm enough. And a lot of people will say, I want more, I want more. What is enough? What is enough for people? You give them the whole world and they still want more. It is, they are acting from a place of just greed, a place of just, I want more, 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 but they never think about others. They don't think about gratitude or appreciating what you have.
You know, Ali, I totally agree with you. Also, BTW, shout out to my girl Gugu the Queen. So she has like this Instagram
Oh,
called Truth Healing Evolution. And she has, that's where I got these affirmations from, because, you know, like I think it's important daily to feed yourself. And like
mhm,
what you're saying right now is like so often people are looking for careers. They're looking for to be something on paper, but you get rid of that paper and they don't know who they are. You know, and I think that's why during this COVID period, personal development, self-development, and understanding who we are in our essence,
mhm,
COVID has done nothing but enhance who we already were. So if you were depressed, you're going to be even more depressed. If you were in a domestic situation, that situation has gotten worse. If you're happy, you're probably happier than you've ever been, or you might have reached
mhm,
points of depression, but it's a point of like, how do we navigate through the gaining of ourselves? How do
mhm,
we work through our own belief system and knowing like, you know what, I can be and do whatever I want. And what I'm searching for are like, what's the difference between me searching for, are you searching for material things? Do you just want to be a millionaire? But like the question is like, how do you want to get there? And
mhm.
so often people just want the money, but the money comes when you're serving other people. That's why it's called service. So if
It's
you're not
true.
serving other people and you want to self-serve, you're going to be miserable.
100%, 100%, sister. It's just, I agree. I agree with you 100%. It's just about the heart. It's about the foundation. If you have that foundation that built on gratitude, that built about thanking God for what you have, so He can give you more. But if you're just like you have that, and you are still looking for something what other people have, and people underneath you, they want to have what you have, and you are not even appreciating that. So it is, appreciate what you have and you will see blessing in every little thing. And it's as
Absolutely.
easy as that. And I
How
love,
do you appreciate that? How do you like, what are your, how do you practice gratitude and like, you know, like appreciation? What does that look like for Ali?
for Ali, what the first thing I start my day, Khadija, is I write 10 things, 10 things that I'm grateful for. 10 things
I
that
love
money
that.
doesn't buy.
Yes. Yes,
Money
that's so
doesn't
important.
buy. Like when I open my two beautiful gifts with my eyes, that people will. Would you take 1 million or 2 million? If I take one eyes from you, Khadija, I will give you 2 million. Will you give that to me?
Absolutely not. I don't even want your money. I want my eyes.
There we go. So that's, people don't see that. And a lot of people have like two arms, they have two legs, they have two ears, they have a nose, they have a mouth, they can breathe. What else do you want? So it is something that we don't look into it and we don't appreciate it, because God gave us everything we need to succeed in life. But we focus on what others people have. We focus on what the universe give to the other people. And we just say, I want that. And we forget about the stuff that we have. And when you talk earlier about depression and you talk about being unhappy and you talk about all that stuff, I've been through all that. I was depressed.
Hmm.
I was like just living. I hit the rock bottom, and I was just like sitting there, don't know what to do and stuff like that. But now I said, screw all that. Happiness is mine. We are created to be alive. That's why they call it life. Life, you need to talk alive. Your smile have to be alive. Your eyes have to be alive. Your talk has to be alive. Everything has to have life in it. Otherwise, you are not serving the purpose. You have to be the mirror. Like if anybody see you, you see big your smile, they will be a reflection of your smile because you're alive. And if you see someone like grumpy like that, you said, holy moly, you're just like you feel.
Right, right. Like, hey, are you okay? Are you
Yeah.
okay?
Are you okay, buddy? Are you? What's going on?
Yes. I love the point that you made about, like, do you want this money or do you want your eyes? Like, I never thought about it that way. And I think that's such a beautiful way to put into context, like, exactly what you said. Like, would you rather this material thing or would you rather want yourself? Like, and I'm sure there's some people that are like, well, I'll still have one eye left and I'll take this money. But then we have to think about, like, how did we allow money, and I understand I'm speaking from a place of privilege, right? So
Mhm,
I think understanding other people's economic situations and socioeconomic situations is important,
mhm,
but that's not the part of you that keeps you alive, right? Like, it's about more than just what like, the material things. And even when you look at these people, right? I used to look at Oprah Winfrey.
mhm.
Love Oprah, okay? Oprah and Michelle Obama, like,
They are my
Maya
they are
Angelou.
my top to watch in the morning too.
Even Hadija, like, when you look at these women, and specifically me, I'm looking at women in
Mhm.
leadership roles, and I'm like, I want what they have. But it's like, sure, they acquire these material things, but I don't want I want their intellect. How did they get so smart? How did they come to be the person that they are? And they all have stories
Mhm,
about them having nothing to gaining themselves and therefore gaining everything. And
mhm,
so, listening to Oprah's story, I mean, Maya Angelou, like, that woman, I mean, listening to her story, she talks about how she was raped, you
mhm,
know and molested by a man, and he ended up in jail, and she spoke his name and then he died. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, she found the power in her tongue, and she was mute for
mhm,
years. Like, she went mute for years, and it wasn't until she started speaking poetry, because her teacher told her to, that she began speaking because she loved poetry so much.
mhm,
And that's when she started speaking. So you have these idols,
mhm,
so to speak, but they shouldn't be our idols. It should be a story that shows that despite your circumstances, you can do it too.
mhm, mhm. Definitely, 100%. And when we look at other people, we don't look at like to invade them or just to, but will to learn from them. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, like, don't invade people what they have. The only thing you can invade people for is if they have money and they are using it for good thing. You want to be
Mm,
like them. Or
yes.
if they have knowledge, wisdom, that they are full of knowledge and wisdom and they are using it for humanity. You want to be like them. You don't invade them like so that go away from them, but you invade them so you can be like them. Those two things that you can invade people for. Like if they have money, but they are using it to help poor people, to help the orphan, to help educate people, or if you have a lot of knowledge and you use it to help, to build generation, to build young people. That's what it is. So it's nice to have model. It's nice to have people to look up to, like Oprah, like Prophet, peace upon be upon him, Muhammad. He is my number one idol, and I see
Yes.
everything. I'm just learning from his wisdom, learning how he is he's patient, how he is wise as a leader. So
Yes.
those things teach us a lot of stuff. And if Sister Khadija, if you notice, all the people through their biography, you see them. They went through a lot in their life before they become.
Absolutely.
They went from nothing to everything. They went from zero to hero. But that doesn't make them different from when they had nothing to when they have everything. They are still the same people, humble, strong, and they are who they are, and they still help people, but they are just more wiser.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I totally agree with you on that. And I was wondering, why is it that these millionaire, billionaires, so on, how is it that they're dropouts out of college? How is it that they quit something? They didn't have a job for a long time. How is it that they did all of these things and they
Hmm.
achieved great things? I mean, you see it out of Steve Jobs, you see it out of Bill Gates, you see it out of Mark Zuckerberg, you see all the tech giants. All of them have been at this point where they quit or they stuck the course even though nobody else saw the vision that they had. And
Hmm.
like, even relating back to our beloved prophet, peace be upon him, like, you see this person with this wealth of knowledge and that just cares. And
Hmm.
one thing that I tell people, especially, it doesn't matter what religion anyone is, but one thing in common that we can even talk about cross religiously, like when I was talking to a friend, they were super upset. They were like, I'm going through all this stuff and I don't know what to do. Why am I being punished? And I'm like, you believe in X, Y, and Z person in your religion, right?
Hmm.
And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, now, if you tell me that that's somebody that you admire, what makes you think that you are that noble that God isn't going to give you any challenges? When the ones who had the most challenges are the ones that we looked up to as leaders. And that's cross religiously. That's not just our religion or the
Hmm.
Christian religion. It's all religions. It's all, Buddhist. It's
Hmm.
all, it crosses across
Hmm.
humanity. Is the ones that we look up to are the ones that been through the most stuff. So what makes you think that
Hmm.
you want to be so great that you think you don't have to go through nothing?
Hmm. That's very
Who
deep.
are you?
Hmm.
Like, and so you people have to knock themselves off of their own pedestal and learn the lesson in life before life gives you that lesson and makes you learn it. I was listening to your interview that you had with oh my gosh, I forget his name.
Michael.
um yes, I think it was Michael, and you guys were talking about why do people have to go through like cancer and all that stuff in order to change their life.
Hmm.
Was that Michael?
Hmm.
I,
Michael.
you guys were talking about that, and I remember thinking, well, could also be because you're not getting the lesson in the other lessons
Hmm.
that you're supposed to be getting. Like, I oftentimes, like,
Hmm.
you can't tell me like, my mom, she had me when she was 8, work her entire life. Like, you can't tell me about action. I watched
Hmm.
even the brain tumor. She had brain tumors, having cords through her bodies doing triathlons. You can't tell me this little bit of fat on my body if I'm tired. This woman has cancer and just went to chemo yesterday. So I don't care how slow or how fast I run this marathon or this 5K. This woman is literally doing it with stuff running through her body. You can't tell me who. So like, it's important to getting to the back to the point. It's important to look at other people
Hmm.
and to see their stories and learn from them. Because
Hmm.
if you don't, you're going to get your own lesson
Hmm.
and you're going to be seeking that guidance. And actually, like, the woman I'm talking about, like, there was a time where she didn't necessarily believe in God. It was more like the sciences, and they knew there was a higher power, but didn't
Hmm.
necessarily name that higher power, right? But
Hmm.
after the experiences, like, this person then all of a sudden was like, God is real, like, and sometimes that takes for you to get God discovery, for you to get self discovery, for you to understand people better. It's not about, we so often focus on the negative part of the story, but I'm interested, I'm results oriented. So what was the result of this terrible thing that happened to you? What did you learn out of it? And like even seeing Les Brown, I
Hmm.
mean, he's like terminal for cancer, like, and you still alive and kicking and teaching us classes. Like,
75.
come on, you can't. 75 and looking good. Like, I probably look older than him and I'm younger.
It's all about what you mentioned that at the beginning. It's all about what we feed our mind. It's all about what we tell ourselves. It's about the communication not to the others but to ourselves. It has to be healthy. It has to be, it's almost like the way I look at it, it's almost like a garden. Our mind is the soul. It's yeah, it's like the our mind is like the garden, and the seed which is like we choose to put those seed in those darkness, and the thought, any thought that come in the mind, it has to be positive. So if we lead a positive, that's mean we are growing flower. But for the weed, we have to weed out all the bad stuff, all the bad stuff that doesn't exist, weed it out. If you want a beautiful garden with beautiful flower, don't let those bad thoughts crumble in and sneak in, just like, I mean, like, get out, you don't belong.
Yes. Yes. And can I emphasize a certain part of your parable
Sure,
that you
yeah,
just
of course.
did? Like, when you just talked about the seed, I want you to answer me a question real quick. Okay, so the seed, where is it planted?
The seed, the seed is,
Yeah, where's the seed planted?
well, usually the seed, when we put it in the soil, like on the land, it's planted in the land, but
Okay,
the
stop,
mind.
stop, stop,
Okay.
but stop right there. So
Okay.
you put the seed in the land. Okay, now answer me this. Is the seed in the light or in the dark
Yeah,
before it grows?
definitely in the dark, in the darkness.
That's it. That's all I needed. That's it. So you plant a seed, you gonna
Hmm.
go through some dark times for you hit the light.
So here we go. You just hit it. You just hit it right there. Because thank
No,
you.
you hit it. You
No, no,
you
but
hit it.
thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the clarifying question. Because our seed is like our dream. Our seed
Mm,
is like our thought. They will remain in the dark, but if we water them daily with positive thought, with just the environment, with the light, with everything, with fertilize and everything, our dream will come slowly, slowly, grow, grow, grow to be like beautiful, and we can achieve it. If you can believe it in your mind, you can have it in your hand. So that's the way it should be. Our seed, they remain in the darkness, but they will come out eventually. We just have to be patient, and we just feed them, get the weed out, and get the bad thought out from our mind.
yes, but isn't that what John Tellerico was telling us this our in our past like group meeting? He was telling us you think it in the mind, so it's like done twice, right?
Mhm.
Repetition. You do it in the mind, it's in the dark. It becomes reality. It's in the light,
It's
right?
true.
It's duplicating itself constantly. Like,
Hmm.
oh gosh, you gave me so much. Like, I don't even think you know how much you just like poured into my cup right now.
Well, you are full of wisdom. I just feel like attract like. It's the energy. What I'm pulling from your cup, I'm putting it in my cup, and it's the
We're just
same thing. it's just that, like, I think what it is about human, and probably you notice that, Khadija, it's about when this COVID-19 hit, it's totally different. And probably you will see the people that you used to see, it's totally different than the people you see now. They are more wiser, and they have different priority, and they have different mindset. Because before they used to be like, just go, 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 just rushing, like, I want this, I want this, I want this. But now they realize that's all what's going on. They were lied to. They were like just being running in something, that is not even guaranteed. It's something that just it's a false promise. And this Corona, I did a speech once, and I call it "Thank you, Corona." Thank
Mm.
you, Corona, because it's opened my mind for different things. It teach me how to cook bread home. I cook bread. I don't even like go to the store and buy it anymore. So I cook it, and now I don't even buy bread anymore. I cook my own bread, homemade.
Yes. So we're
So
gonna have an Ali bread company soon, right?
there we go. So that just like Corona didn't break the system. Corona showed the broken system.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
showed us that we were lied to. We were like just trapped in our mind, and just like those big corporate company, if you don't get this, you won't be healthy. If you don't buy this, you won't be healthy. And we realize that we forget that what is important that will keep us healthy is our own thought. It's not the junk food that we eat. It's not what we see. It's all the junk from the news, from the TV, from the social media, from the society itself. That is what killing us. It's not the junk food. And we realize that spending time with the family is a priority. Being
Yes.
with yourself, number one. Be with who you are. And acknowledge that. Give permission to yourself to be happy. Give permission to yourself to be alive. Give permission to yourself to get out and celebrate. That is what we should all focus on. And I was preparing myself. God was preparing me, not me. I used to be always like asking for approval from others. I want to be around people. I want to be like always like yes, yes, I want this. But before Corona hit, thanks God, like I found the connection with who I am. I found the connection with myself. I create a friendship with myself because we have me and self.
Mm.
And when they match, they become friends. They become
Can
together.
you can you explain? Now I understand exactly what you're saying, but
Mhm.
can you explain like what is the difference between self and then you? Like what and what does that combination and putting them together feel like?
Okay, I will just return the question back to you, but it's an answer in a question. If I ask you, you are Khadija, and you have someone beside you, are giving advice to that
Hmm.
person beside you, like good advice and everything, but you don't take those advice to yourself.
Hmm.
But that friend beside you, when that's the self, and you are the other person. So when you start taking your own advice, when you are starting to take permission from yourself, when you start to listen to your gut, that's the gut feeling. God talking to us through our gut.
Mm.
And when you
Mm.
create, how many times like we said, okay, I should do this, and your gut telling you don't do it, and you do the way you said, not yourself said, and you
Yeah.
find out the self was right. It said should.
You know what? You know what? Actually, I was talking to my mom about this,
Mhm,
and like I was telling her, I started listening to myself because I can't tell you. So when I left China,
mhm,
it was before the coronavirus, everything started. So it just happened to be like I literally came with one suitcase because I was only supposed to be here for like 3 weeks and then I was going to go back
mhm,
because it was Chinese New Year. So something told me before I left, take a lot of your money out of the bank. Just take it out in cash. So there were several days that I would go to the bank and just take it out in cash. And I'm like, why am I doing literally? I'm talking to myself. So I'm letting you inside my head right now. Why are you needing to take the money out the bank? Just do it. Just do it. Why?
mhm,
But why? Like, why are we okay? Let me just do it,
mhm,
get back here to America. I'm trying then I see the coronavirus outbreak, right? So then
mhm,
I go to get the money like, the currency into USD,
mhm.
and the lady's like, "Why do you have so much money?" And I was like, "Girl, can you just cash it? Why are you asking me all these questions?" Like, I don't know because and then I was like, well, the coronavirus happened. That's why I have all the money. But it was me listening to myself. I didn't know nothing about the coronavirus, like anything, like to the point where I wasn't even wearing a mask on the plane. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know but remember going to Hong Kong and I saw people with masks on, and I was like, why do people have masks on? And then I was like, well, maybe they just don't want to get sick, but I didn't know to what
Mm-hmm.
extent it was, because in Chinese culture, Asian culture, wearing the mask is a normal thing. If you get sick, you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
get everybody else sick, so you just put on
Okay.
a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the mask culture there. So I'm like, okay, maybe maybe they're sick and they don't want to get anybody
Mm-hmm.
else sick. But it was just that moment of listening to myself, despite fighting myself at the same time, and listening. After that voice, I was like, all right, I know what you sound like. I'm gonna always listen to you. Yeah.
It's true. It's true, and it's so powerful. Like the power of listening.
Whew. Whew.
Power of listening.
Come on, tell me how do you listen, Ali? Like, what does listening entail?
What does listening mean?
Yeah, like, how do you do it? Like, what does listening mean?
Well,
What
I mean to me is I wasn't listening to myself for a long time, and that cost me a lot. It's almost like the universe was just like giving us warning. We didn't want to listen to the universe till Corona hit, and we did the big shit. Bam! Then we start to listen. Why we didn't listen before? You know what I mean? So it's almost
Mhm.
like our kids, for instance, when they try to get our attention, we say, "Mommy, Daddy, you don't pay attention." Mommy, and he says, "Oh, yes, yes, what's going on?" So the same thing for the self. It's like the inner voice that starts trying to get our attention, and we just keep suppressing it down, suppressing it down. That's why depression comes. That's why anxiety comes. That's why, because we are recognizing other people's voice and we are ignoring our own voice.
Mm.
And when
Say that again. Say that
we,
just one more time. I need to hear that.
we recognize other people's voice, but we deny our own voice.
Yes.
And when I came out from my depression, when I came out from all that, I decided, you know what? I looked at the mirror face to face, and I was talking to the self. I said, "Listen, I know you were there, and you have been with me all this journey, all this time, and you never give up on me, because almost we
No.
are twin." And I start having that honest conversation with that, and like I go as far as I can, like to do my inner child, slowly clearing everything. And I made a contract with the self. He said, "Listen, from now on, we will have like a nice conversation, and they will take your advice, and we will be on the same boat. If the gut feeling telling me this is not, shouldn't do it, I won't do it." So I start having the power of listening to myself. They start to use the life skill. I start to use so many tools that I start to combine it with myself before I apply it with others people. And let me tell you, my friend Khadija, it just bring the best out of me. It just make me find my own voice. And when you find your voice, you don't give, between bracket, crap about what people will think, or what people will say, or what people will think about you, what you will think about, or what you worry about. What shall I think about myself? Am I happy with myself? Am I happy with the decision I make? Am I happy with all those? So you become your own mirror. So you don't see, if someone look at you and said, "Oh, that shirt doesn't look on me," I don't care. I'm happy with it.
That is so important. Like, I really hope that people are listening. Like, I think what you just said is the most important thing. Like, that's how you go on your path, right?
Hmm.
Like, that's how you follow, like, on the straight path, right? Like, you're not thinking this for no reason, right? And I think oftentimes, I'm even going to take it as far back and just talk about women
Hmm.
for a minute, because I think oftentimes women, as women, the world is telling you everything that you should be, right? There's a reason that I came on here today, Ali, and I did not put any makeup on my face. There's a reason that I wear these things. Like this is in the Xhosa South African culture, Zulu culture that
Mm-hmm.
they wear. Like everything is specific. Even though these represent, it reminds me of my friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
This me becoming, like I said, like when I went to Dubai, I saw the Muslim culture and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. Like we listen to other people in
Mm-hmm.
outlets such as the media, and these people have never even been to where they're talking about.
It's
You know what
true.
I mean? And like we're so busy, like you said, listening to other people, we don't listen to ourselves. I wanted to listen to myself. You know, I had a question, and my question was, you know, and this was like a question towards, I'll even take it to America, the American consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
the I would say the lower consciousness, so to speak. I always wondered, why do they hate me so much? You know, like they hate me because I'm black, but like black people are amazing. Like, you know, I love my people. So then I'm like, okay, what else do they hate? You know? And then I was like, you know, they really don't like Islam either. And so I started exploring Islam. And I was like, okay, what is it about Islam that they don't like? You know? So then I started exploring to myself, and like I had a really amazing friend. He's Muslim, and he was like, we would go back and forth and talk. And like I would have my Bible out and he would have his Quran out, and we'd be talking about some things and we'd be talking about the same thing. And he
Mm-hmm.
stopped me and he was like, Latoya, have you ever read the Quran for yourself? And I was like, no, I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay. And I like, it was just, that was a seed, you know, that was planted, because he wasn't gonna like, for, you know, like that's not what we do, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it was like a seed that was planted. And like when you're having intellectual discussions, you can listen without, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
listening, the art
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
listening. So I'm like, okay, let me check it out. And so I went and I was like, hey, you got access to a Quran. Where can I find a Quran? You know? And when I kid you not, when I opened the Quran for the first time and I read the Al Fatiha, and
Oh.
I was so astounded by the truths. Like it was just, for me, it intellectually made sense. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just about my feelings. It was an intellectual thing for me. For me, I'm just talking about me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know about anybody else's experience, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about for me. And I remember it took me a while. Like it took me like a year and a half, you know? And I would just read it. And I remember one day I went down on my knees and I was praying. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was crying. I was depressed. And I was praying to God, right? And I called God Allah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, it's time. You know, and I called my friend at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, hey, what, I'm so sorry to call you at this time. And he's like, no, are you okay? You know, and I was like, I'm fine. I was like, hey, what's that thing that, you know, you say to become Muslim? Like, what's that thing that you say? And he's like, what thing? And I was like, you know, the thing, like when you want to be Muslim, like the thing. He's like, the Shahada? And I was like, yeah. I said, can you tell me that? And I want to repeat after you. And then he was like, wait, are you sure? Are you ready to do? Are you sure that's what you want to do? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'll definitely do it, but like, are you? And I was like, I'm positive, like, just do it, you know? And he did it, and I repeated after him. And that was like my journey to becoming, and I think since I got fired from my job, I was so excited to be Muslim. Like I was, the hardest thing was the hijab for me, because I still, to this day, I still can't wrap it pretty like the rest of the women do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
So
like, you know
when
what?
when you became Muslim, were you in United States, or were you in Dubai?
I was in China.
Oh, China. Okay.
I was in China. I was in China. And like I went to the mosque. They have a few mosques there. I mean, like, so I would go, with my friends, and then I was like, you know what? Like, this is it was interesting, because I wasn't used to the segregation between like the men and the women. And then
Hmm.
I grew to understand the whys and the
Hmm.
hows, and like, like the intention and
Hmm.
everything, and having good intention. And it was just everything. It wasn't broad, it was deep.
Hmm.
And when I took myself into the depths of being human in itself, and like everything from like even like what you eat, and the intention behind how something is killed, and how to pray over that thing that you kill. Like,
Hmm.
I'm vegetarian, vegan now, but before I was eating like halal, because I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, it's all about energy. And like, I don't know, when I would read it, I would see like astrology and stars. I mean, when you have a chapter called The Moon, and
Hmm.
you have another one called like, like talking just all of every, I mean, it just, I don't know, it empowered me as a woman, and it
Hmm.
made me see that that it just, I don't know, it gave me so much wisdom and so much intellect, and I began to decide that whatever it is that people hate, I came up with a mantra. I feel like hate is love unforgiven. That's actually like something. Hate is love unforgiven. You just haven't, there's something that in you that you need to forgive
Hmm.
yourself for,
Hmm.
because even lacking understanding of other people is an issue, right? Like, Ali, if I don't understand you and I'm fighting you, and I'm like, no, you blah 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 blah, like, I'm not taking the time to try to understand where you're coming from. What is Ali's perspective? How does he feel about this? What is Ali's background to
Hmm.
make him feel this way?
Hmm.
And how can I assist his beingness so he can continue to exist in himself while I'm continuing to exist in myself? And
Hmm.
it just so much clarity. And I was still able to, in it, I also struggled though with my identity though,
Hmm.
because when I would go to mosque, I didn't find women who were enthusiastic like I was. There was like this modest, quiet kind of like kind of women, and I was like, I don't know if I remember going back to my friend. I was like, I don't know if I could be Muslim. Like, the women are too modest for me, and I'm trying to be like, like, because I'm super enthusiastic. Like, imagine you see a sister and like, assalamu alaikum, like, but you don't, and sometimes like they'll be excited to see me, but it's like I'm like a child in Islam. So I'm like super excited at everything I learn, and I'm just like ready to
Hmm.
share what I'm learning because I find it so profound.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, okay, but like, if you love me, then it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I am in Ulsa in South Africa. There's there there's a saying called Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am because you are. And so when people praise me, they'll be like, oh, this, that. And I'm like, no, don't give it to me. Like, can you say a prayer and then like tell God that, say my name, like, don't give me the praise. I'm only here because I kept my eye on the prize, right? I
Hmm.
kept my eyes forward and straight. So don't give me the praise. I'm not looking for your claps. I don't care if you clap, if you laugh, if you have a good time. I'm just here because I
Hmm.
I have something to get. I need to pour. I'm so full. It's
Hmm.
like being a water fountain. I'm so full. I need to just pour. Who else needs some water? Who else needs some cups? You need some cups. You need some cups.
I love that. Just like the cup is full. I'm sharing. Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring
So
your
like,
empty
if
cup.
exactly. So like, even with the women, I learned though, like I was talking to another brother, and this is the part that's so beautiful to me, is it's been the brothers that really have like uplifted me. And it's like been the brothers that have like encouraged me and inspired me. Like, because I didn't see a lot of I didn't
Mhm,
meet a lot of sisters while I was in China, or
mhm,
maybe they wouldn't wear the hijab. So I didn't know, but I wore the hijab and I would like wear it like I'm wearing it now because I was like, whatever, like my job fired me because they called me a terrorist and they said
mhm.
I was a threat.
Oh, really?
And I
Wow.
was like, oh my goodness, like I've been working here for a year. I didn't change nothing but cover myself, you know?
Mhm,
And they were just like, I had got fired. And I would just remember going home that day and I asked God, I was like, why do they hate you so much?
mhm,
I knew it wasn't about me. I was like, why did they hate you so much? And that very afternoon, I had another job lined up waiting for me. And
wow.
I went on an interview at 6 p.m. And at 6 p.m., by the time I got out of there at 7 p.m., I had another job. So, the universe works in mysterious ways, but it's only to serve the purpose of the path that was already, like, we're merely tracing the lines that were
Mhm,
already written for us. So
wow.
it's what part of the story are we going to focus on? Now I could have easily told that story and focused on the part where I said I got fired from my job, and I could have focused on that part. But to me, that's part of the story that brought me into working in an international school and
Mhm,
then bringing me back here to America. I don't want to focus on the tribulation is important. The trial is important. The
mhm,
the being in the darkness is important. Being that seed in the soil is important. But it's about when you sprout up, what kind of
mhm.
fruits are you bearing? And that's what we need to be focused on. What kind of fruits are coming from this tree?
Wow. Love that. Love it. Wow. That just like gave me goosebumps on my body. That's nice. Honestly, like God is great. Like when you put God in the heart, you were worried about you lose that job. And by 6 p.m. you have another job. You put God in your heart. You put God like your priority. You put God, you didn't care about, like I said, I'm putting that hijab because my heart full of God, full of Allah, and that's what I'm doing. And probably the devil inside of you will tell you, look, you just like you put God in your heart, and look, you lost a job. No, you should leave God of that, and it will get you.
Oh,
That's
absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, Ali, like, so often so often, because when you see mercy, you see God. When you see blessings, you see God. When you see everything, like, so often we worship the creation and not the creator, right? So,
hmm
like, I'm not looking to I know that there's a power higher than myself. And
hmm
whether I call that power God, whether I call the power Allah, I know that whatever it is, that's the person controlling the universe that serves me.
hmm
And if indeed, like John Tallarico tells us, the universe loves speed, well, guess what? I'm going to talk to the author of the speed, and yeah, that's how I'm gonna carry that out. I'm gonna talk to the author so I can move and make
hmm
sure that the universe is ordered to move at the speed that it's supposed to go to, and I'm gonna do it fearlessly. Like, somebody told me, they were like, be careful of the snakes in the garden. And I told them, I said, look, let me tell you something about them snakes in the garden. I said, I got mongooses waiting, because the mongoose, they eat snakes.
hmm
And so I'm like, I got mongooses waiting. I ain't worried about no snakes. They can't touch me. They can't touch me.
That's the attitude. The attitude when you have like a positive attitude. And some people like you give them solution and they all look for problem. And the bad attitude stinks so bad. It's just like a flat tire. It will get you nowhere.
Mm.
That's how bad
Oh.
it is. Some people have that bad attitude and they just like just drive, the bad or the flat tire, blah 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 blah. They are going nowhere, and everyone passing them like because everyone with positive attitude. And the problem, like you give them anything, even solution, you give them thing, and they just like look for problem. They never look beyond what is there for me. What can I get from this? And since I changed my mindset as well. I start to see even the darkness, I see light. Even in the problem, I see solution. Even in night, I see day. So I just want to go back to what you mentioned earlier, and when you shared your story, I really love that and connect with it big time. When the first time you open the Quran and you read Fatiha, which is the opening, that's what it's called, Fatiha.
Yes.
What made you like to say, okay, I want to be a Muslim? Like, is there like a calling in your heart? It was like something that is just something like all the way like a Western girl, and like a religion that everyone hate, a religion that they call every Muslim like a terrorist, that they call everyone that someone with a big beard. The people, when they see me with no beard, they said, oh, you're not a Muslim, but you don't have a big beard, but I have a big heart. It doesn't matter. As long you are a good person, we are all human. And
Yes.
you were not scared like you will be like labeled as a Muslim, as a terrorist, as like all those bad things that they put in the news, that they just label a Muslim. As long as you say the Muslim, oh, he's a terrorist. As soon as you say like Muslim, oh, watch out, you like. So it's the media was programming this, was planning it
Hmm.
years and years and years, and to control. Just
Hmm.
imagine I am going into airport with my clothes, this white and white thing, and say like,
Hmm.
and I just sit beside someone and just like look at you like, and every time like,
Right.
and
Right.
I will do the same thing. I will take that clothes that I was wearing, put it in a bag, and they sit beside that person. You will see totally normal reaction.
Absolutely. You know what? Like, and to answer your question, I think that I've always been me,
Hmm.
and the people have always loved me. Like my personality, my energy. I come in unapologetic. I'm
Hmm.
unapologetic about I'm unapologetic about my weight. I'm unapologetic about being a woman. I'm unapologetic about being black. I'm unapologetic about everything. I'm unapologetic about having Muslim friends. I'm unapologetic about having gay friends. I'm unapologetic about, I am a walking contradiction. You know what I mean? I'm a walking, because I have friends from everywhere. And for me, it's so difficult to, everybody wants you to label yourself. How
Hmm.
do I label everyone who lifts me up? And I think that's important, is my surroundings. Ubuntu, I am because you are. I am every single friend that I
Hmm.
have, And so for me, what an honor it is to represent my family, represent my God, like God first, but like represent the people who supported me my
Hmm.
entire life. So like for me, you want to know something? I'm going to tell you my mom's reaction when I became Muslim. She said, everybody asked her, they were like, aren't you concerned because she's Muslim? And she was like, no, because my mom's Christian.
Hmm.
And everybody was like, but why? Like, don't you feel betrayed? And my mom was like, um, first of all, she loves God. She's praying 5 times a day now. And she's not going to the club getting drunk and smoking anymore.
So that's
So
good.
right. She was like, and she's actually wearing clothes on her body. So for me as a mom, I would say that's a win. So it was just so it was like for her, and then she saw like the change. But to even go back and then give you another answer to your question was, like I said, it was the brothers. I have a lot of Muslim male friends, and these men are all like businessmen, right? And like one of my friends, he's from Yemen. Crazy, right? Because Yemen's banned from coming to the United States. So it breaks my heart to come home, because I know that some of my friends, I won't ever be able to welcome them to my home because they're banned from coming here. And I won't ever be able to go to their countries to really see the essence of who they are because I'm banned from going there.
Mhm.
Even like, like a lot of my friends were from these banned countries that are so bad. But
Mhm.
when I meet them, they're doing nothing but empowering me, and they're pouring into me, and they're telling me, like one of my friends from Yemen, I would just go to the city, and then he'd introduce me to other Muslim women. And then he would show me how he runs his international business. Like
Mhm.
my other friend from Somaliland, like would just share all of the wisdom and teach me the hadiths of the prophet, like,
Peace
you
be
know,
upon him.
and peace be upon him. And you know, I saw it wasn't necessarily the Quran. The Quran came second, right? What came first was the people. You know, like my friend, I saw him and I was like, it was like seeing a spotlight on the stage, and you're in the darkness, you're in the audience, but they're in
Mhm.
the spotlight and they're just being themselves. And I'm looking at them and I'm like,
Mhm.
how do I get that? I want that. I don't want the man. I don't want the man in the spotlight. I
Mhm.
want that light on me. How do I get that light of wisdom that he's in? Because he's so intelligent and so God-fearing. How do I get that light that he has? And I asked them, like, I'm not no hater. You know, like some people are haters and they're like, oh, blah, 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 like, you know,
Mhm.
but I'm the type that I'm like, hey, take me to your source. How you get so smart, you know?
Mhm.
And then like asking that, I was told that how, you know, he got so smart, or the light. And I'm like, I want to learn some stuff. And like that's why I said it was a process. It was a year and a half process of asking questions, of sitting behind my Bible. And to this day, like, you know, one thing about us being Muslim is we're allowed to read other scriptures too, right? Like, so like it was exploring, like, you know, exploring still the Bible. The Bible actually for me now, when I read it, I understand it more. Like I'm like, oh, okay, that's so interesting. Like
Mhm.
that is really powerful. Like it made me appreciate where I came from. Because if I could speak religiously, I feel like my mother tongue is Christian and my
Mhm.
second language is Islam.
Mhm.
So I always come with my first mother tongue instincts and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm able to read and come into a deeper perspective. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And it serves me. Like
Mhm.
while it came to serve humanity, to serve God, it really serves me in my life, you
Mhm.
know, like, and that's what the pure essence of me, like, I've always been super spiritual, but it was
Mhm.
to put intellect, not just feelings, not just things that people say, but for me to interpret it for myself, like,
Mhm.
because it's such an easy book to read. Like I was surprised. I was like, I don't understand how it's so short, right? There's not a lot of pages in it. And then like when I was worried about fasting, like funny story, I wanted to be Muslim earlier, but Ramadan was coming up and I was like, because I'm not ready to be hungry all day. But
Mhm.
but when I but when I fasted the first time, it was so easy for me. Like everything was easy. Like fasting is easy for me. Like I fast, you know, like I fast as much as I can, like even today, fasting. Like I don't, I feel like I'm more conscious
Mhm.
when I'm fasting.
Mhm.
Whereas when I'm not fasting, my concentration's a bit off.
True.
So, like, even that, there's power in that. There's a reason why we
Mhm.
study better when we're hungry. And then you have science that comes up talking about the gut. What is it? The gut brain. I think it's called like the gut brain relationship, where like when you're hungry you actually take in information better. But
Mhm.
like, come on, you have a group of people that's been doing that and reading a book, but now it's profound when they do it. Then you have organic meat,
Mhm.
right? Well, they're treating the animals better. Oh, when you stress out an animal, you're eating the stress. Well, you know, in the Quran they said that a long time ago, like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I feel like people aren't conscious because they've never picked up the book and read it for themselves, nor have they explored. But when you
Mhm.
explore, just because you explore it doesn't mean you have to be it or claim it,
Mhm.
right? Because it's a lifestyle. There's a lot of it's That's why when people ask me, like, I'm like, being Muslim is a lifestyle. It's not a religion, it's a lifestyle. It's the way that I choose to live. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I don't, you know, we're taught that we don't pressure people to be in it or not be in it. You find it how you find it. And
Mm-hmm.
it comes to you how it comes to you. Like, I'm not, if you have questions, okay, sure, I'll answer what I can, but I might have to refer you to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an expert. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, but I know that it makes me a better person every day.
Mm-hmm. What is a better person to Khadija?
A better person to Hadija is keeping her eyes on God, and like always serving other people, and
Mm-hmm.
to understand perspective. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Like, and to understand there are other worlds and words, but
Mm-hmm.
other worlds outside of your own. When you serve the author of the universe, you serve the author of time, you serve the author of space, you serve the author of everything that you look around you.
Mm-hmm.
We're merely vessels. Our
Mm-hmm.
bodies, our spirit is what was breathed into us, and this body is just, if I want to be fat, I can be fat. If I want to be skinny, I can be skinny. If I want to, it doesn't matter. It's about what I prefer. Like, that's why I don't worry about, like I was telling you before, I don't know makeup on, I don't need it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care about
As
what,
long I'm
I don't
happy with it,
care.
I don't care about people. It's me. I have to.
It's me.
Yeah, exactly. I approve me. Who care?
I don't care. You know what? Because at the end of the day, I want you to want to talk to me because of who I am, not what I look like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you, if you coming up to me because of what I look like, I don't want that energy anyway. Like, I tell men all the time, like, men will come up to me, you wouldn't believe, since I've been Muslim, I think more men try to approach me now than ever before. Like, and I'm like, I intentionally, like, I don't want anybody coming up to me because of how my body looks, or because of certain things. Like, I want you to like me because of my mind, because
Mm-hmm.
of who I am, because of how understanding I am, because
Different.
of my being, my character. If you like me because of the outside, I don't want you in my circle. Like, I don't even want to talk to you. And it's the same for me. Like, even the way that I look at, men before, like, I used to be like, oh, he's so handsome, he's so oh, he's fine, girl. Like, oh, who is that man? What is his name? But then, like, you come into deeper understanding of the man behind the person, right? And for so long, like, growing up with a single parent, like, you question what a man is. And I thought just because a man had an Adam's apple, or he
Yeah.
had a different part of the body, I thought that was a man. But that's not what makes a man. It's
Mm-hmm.
about who he is, what he provides. And the same thing for me as a woman, like, having that feminine and masculine energy, like, how can we cooperate and work together and make worlds together?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's an emotional impact in the femininity of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most people are like, wow, you're a feminist. And I'm like, no, I'm not a feminist, because at the end of the day, I appreciate feminine energy and I appreciate masculine energy. And I'm not going to compare the two, because they're not comparable. Like, they're not comparable. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
takes a man to initiate the life, and it takes a woman to foster that life, to bring it out into the world. So why would I compare
Wow, I
myself
love
to
that.
my brother?
I love that. I'm just going to. It take a man to initiate that, and take a woman to foster that. Like, it's true. It's and the problem that's most of our generation, or what we see now, we compare ourselves to others. Compare. We just compare. We forget about us. We forget about what we are capable of, and we start comparing. And that's when we humiliate ourselves. That's when we ignore ourselves. That's when we deny ourselves, because everyone have a journey different than us, and everyone at a certain level in their own journey, and they need your space, they need your time. So don't compare. We shouldn't compare
Absolutely.
as a human. I just want to go quick to use the time capsule. Time
Okay.
capsule.
Um,
What like it want to, I know it's like Khadija. What was your name before Khadija, before you become Muslim?
Latoria.
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 I love that name, Latoria. So Latoria and Khadija. So I want Khadija to talk to Latoria. What's the difference, like Latoria and Khadija, and have a
Ooh.
conversation?
The
Ooh.
power of
Ooh.
listening.
The power of listen. You know what?
I just want to see the beauty brought, like, because the way you put it and the way you talk about it, it seems like you had a heart that shining with love, shining with wisdom, shining with the truth.
Yes.
And I
Oh
want.
my goodness. If Hadija could talk to Latoria, and Latoria is constantly here all the time. You know, Latoria and Hadija be fighting all the time because because Latoria is so free and so just just Latoria doesn't care, right? And Latoria is always here. You know what I mean? And I think what Hadija did, Hadija fine-tuned Latoria. Hadija is Latoria as a woman, right? Latoria was the lady, Latoria was the girl, right? And Hadija is the woman.
Wow.
So she fosters, she cares for her, she holds Latoria, she tells Latoria that she doesn't have to do anything to please the world, and she needs to do everything to please her God. She Hadija tells Latoria that Latoria is powerful beyond her own measure. Hadija tells Latoria that she should always be herself and be unapologetic as long as she's doing good for the people, like you said, has the knowledge, as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, and that she's always serving in goodness and wellness and in her energy, and to always have that moral and ethical compass.
Wow.
So
That's
that's their
amazing.
conversation.
That's amazing. What a nice conversation between Latoria and Khadija, and we see how wise Khadija is.
All praise to Allah, all praise to Allah.
I mean to that. Wow, like it's amazing, Khadija. It's really an honor and privilege to have you on this podcast. So much, a burst of wisdom, a burst of knowledge. It's just like energy floating everywhere. So the audience, I'm sure, will have like a wow moment with this beautiful podcast we have. It's just like it's amazing. It's totally amazing. Uh, Time is, we have like 3 minutes, my friend. I want you to wrap it up, to leave the audience
Okay.
with some amazing, with some powerful doses of inspiration with Khadija.
Hey, you know what though? I'm gonna take those 3 minutes and I'm gonna allocate them to you, because I think that it's so important that you know that you drove this conversation to where it went. And what you're doing, Ali, is so powerful and so amazing. And I want to speak life into you for a second, because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying on recording. I wouldn't be on your show. And I want to thank you for taking the time to choose me to be here right now. Because whatever it is that we said and that we shared with one another, and how open you were to even answering some of my questions, whatever it is, whatever we shared, someone somewhere needed to hear that, or somewhere someone needed that could be the one thing that saved them, or it could be people opening their eyes and listening and gaining perspective into something they might not have even known. And even if they only listened for 3 minutes, or they didn't make it to this part of the podcast, or they didn't make it to this part, I know that what you're doing is great. And I love the fact that you are so gracious and that you shared your practices with me. You know, like, sure, this is broadcasted for the people, but this is really people having a fly on the wall look of Ali and Hadija talking, right? And I really enjoyed your words of wisdom. And that's why, if you notice at certain points in this, I did stop you and I asked you questions, because what you're saying is so deep that I think sometimes it flies over people's head. right? Because it goes, some people are all about themselves
Mhm.
and not about others. And you and what you're doing right now is about bringing others to your platform to give them a voice and to give them an opportunity. And you are serving the people through serving others. So I want to thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to be able to speak to you and to share the same space as you and to share energy with you and to share healing with you and to just share our beings and ourselves.
Mhm.
So thank you. That's my 3-minute wrap up. I want to just say thank you.
Thank you very much. You just when you said share the being, that's what actually the humanity should focus on. Just be there. Life is too simple. Life simple. We shouldn't complicate it. We shouldn't like just try to be someone that we are not. And who would pay money for a copy? People will pay more for original. Let's be ourselves. Let's be original, and let's be just who we are. Because when we are who we are, we speak the truth. We speak from the heart. And when you speak from the heart, it shows. It's showing the smile, showing the eyes, showing the face, showing the energy, showing the universe, showing the family, showing the relationship, so on everything. And when the heart is clean, when the heart is pure, you see it on the face, you see it on the action, you see it on the honesty, you see it with being authentic. And if the heart is fake or doing it for different other reason, it will show. Lies will maybe last for a little bit, but the truth will last forever. So with that being said, I am like overwhelmed, like it's not overwhelmed, but I am just like all this wisdom, all this like nugget, golden nugget that I'm getting from your sister. It's and actually my youngest sister is called Khadija, so that name mean a lot to me. And you just remind me of her, and you are by being yourself, by being open, it just make this podcast amazing, amazing. So thank you very much, sister. And with Ali doses of inspiration, we thank Khadija so much, and we see you guys with a new guest next time. Thank you very much.